when people say he in a message. I hope people know that I've never said he like being cute. I'm always like he. Anyway. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Jess or Jeffy and we're today covering another episode of Pleasantview 25 years later. So in this one we're doing the Dreamer family, which consists of Darren and Dirk and dead Darlene. So we'll be doing the entire history of first and then we'll get on to where they are 25 years later, just like all the other videos. But if you want to find me anywhere else, you can find me streaming over on Twitch 4 times a week. I stream The Sims 2 every Monday, and at the moment we're playing for an Uberhood, which is different from what we're doing in this playthrough. And then on Tuesdays I stream Zelda games. So at the moment it's Zelda Breath of the Wild, but then we're moving on to Link's Awakening, and then we'll be playing through other Zelda games. On Thursdays it's either The Sims 3 or Stardew Valley, depending on how well The Sims 3 decides to behave basically that week, because sometimes it likes me, sometimes it doesn't. I think that's the same for everyone. And then on Fridays we stream Skyrim, so you can find me there. These are all my socials. And yeah, it'd be lovely to have you. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Thanks, friends. Oh, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Best. Sims 3. So the Dreamer family consists of Darren Brown is living with Darren Dreamer. Darren is living in Lucky Palms alone, and he's actually not got any family. It's a bit weird because he's got parents and stuff in The Sims 2, so I don't really know why he doesn't in The Sims 3, but he's quite well known in the town. He's a 2-star celebrity and he has 20,000 simoleons, so considerably more than he does in the Sims 2. He's not in the Sims 1 at all. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. He is dating his wife Darlene, who we obviously know he marries because of the Sims 2. She's living with her parents, and he has 7 painting skill points, 1 handiness, 1 charisma, 1 cooking, and 1 athletic, and he's unemployed. His bio says, a talented artist with eccentric tastes, Darren hates the outdoors, yet has a passion for painting landscapes through large windows. Rumour has it that his home came with a swimming pool, but he had it filled in so he could build a cactus garden in his backyard. Though art is his passion, being a stay-at-home bachelor is a lonely business. Is there a special sim somewhere who would be the perfect match for Darren? And then moving on to Sims 2, because like I say, they're not in The Sims 1. When we load into The Sims 2, Darlene is dead. She died in a fire. So the family consists of Darren and his son Dirk, and obviously Darlene's dead and buried in the back garden. Which, right, if you think about it, is super weird, because like in what world would you ever have your dead family members buried in your garden? You just wouldn't, would you? I don't think it's legal anywhere. Certainly not legal in the UK that I know of, because I know like in some places you can't even bury pets in the back garden. But anyway, it's got absolutely nothing to do with Sims. The family is low on money with only 968 simoleons, and they have 3 sets of overdue bills. Darren is in love with Cassandra Goth and wants to marry her, but she's involved with Don Lothario at the time you load it in, and she's not in love with Darren, but they are best friends. If you invite her over and they flirt, 9 times out of 10, well, every time I think, they'll end up falling in love, and she'll be then cheating on Don, which haha he deserves. Darren still loves to paint, and why do I keep saying Darren? I am filming this at like midnight after a stream, so maybe that's why. Darren still loves to paint and wants to be a full-time artist. At one time he worked the business career track, but he quit around the same time Darlene died, so I'm wondering if he quit to look after Dirk. That's kind of what would make sense in my eyes anyway. Darren considers Don an enemy, like I say, probably to do with the Cassandra thing and the fact that he treats her like crap. But Don only considers Darren an acquaintance. Darren also has a hidden family token, and he still has 7 points in creativity, and he's 15 days away from becoming an elder. I'm looking over here because I've got a script, because otherwise I will go severely off piste, which I already have done, but worse. I just had an image of myself going down like an actual snow piste in my wheelchair, like zoom, zoom, zoom. Anyway. Yeah, Darren. So then Darren's parents, Darren's parents are Davis Dreamer and Delilah Dreamer. They're both dead. And like I say, he's living with Dirk, his son, who is a teenager. After the death of his mum, his grades fell, which we can see, and he went from an A plus to a D minus student, which is kind of understandable. But he has almost recovered his grades back, and he's now an A minus. When we start up as well, he's dating Lilith, who was his childhood friend, which could explain why they're together because they don't have a whole lot in common. I quite like them together, but they don't have a huge amount in common. They haven't met each other's dads, so obviously she wouldn't have met his mum because, you know, she's dead. But, like, I don't think he's met her mum. I'm not sure, but they haven't met each other's dads anyway. He is a fortune sim that has a hidden knowledge token. He has 2 charisma points, 1 for logic, and is 13 days away from becoming an adult. His skills and aspirations suggest that he would be good in the business career, but often rolls for athletic. And he has a hidden knowledge token. I already said that bit. It's because I went off script again. But anyway, that's where they were when you first load into the game, and then we'll get into where they are now. And those notes are here because I wasn't willing to type them up again, so they're here. Also, look how cute my dog is. Oakley dokley, where are they now? So I am going to be reading off of my notepad because otherwise I'll forget. So Darren he got a job. He realized that he needed to get a job to pay the bills because he was worried about the fact that Dirk was stressing about going to college and all of those things, and he wanted to be able to support him. So he actually ended up getting a job in the medicine career track, which he rolled the 1 for, and he is currently at level 6. He's a GP. He met a friend at work called Mark, one of his co-workers, and they became best friends, and they just started sort of hanging out together a bit more. Their families met each other, and they just got on really well. So it was quite nice that he was making friends. He was really enjoying the job. And Dirk was really happy because it meant that he didn't have to worry so much about going to college because there would be less pressure on the household should he do that, which was really nice. So one day, a few years later, Darren is obviously at this point, he's over Cassandra because Cassandra's moved on. He's aware that she's not ever going to be with him. He was really heartbroken over it for a really long time. He didn't actually ever confess how he felt about her because he knew that she didn't feel the same way, and he didn't want to risk ruining their friendship. So he just kind of quietly creeped on her from a distance and then got over it. But anyway, a few years later, he's still really good friends with Mark. He invites the family over for a dinner party, and he notices during the time that they're eating that Mark is talking to his wife Lucy really badly and just treating her like a pile of poop, basically. And he's kind of like, I don't like this. This isn't right. He gets on really well with Lucy and the children. They have 2 daughters called Flo and Posy. And then during the dinner party, they sort of are talking. Anyway, he goes upstairs to fetch something. And Lucy goes upstairs with him because she needs to use the toilet. They are upstairs and they're talking. And Darren asked her if Mark always speaks to her like this, and she sort of started crying and explained that he was actually not very nice to her at all and just generally treated her like shit. And they ended up sharing a kiss. So obviously Darren was freaking out about this because he'd been friends with Mark for a long time, but obviously didn't know the real him. He cared about Lucy a lot, and he'd always cared about Lucy, and they obviously shared this kiss, but he didn't want to be like trapped in an affair, I suppose. But things sort of progressed, and he was concerned about Lucy, and in the end what happened was her and the children moved in with Darren. Originally it was just going to be sort of as friends, but things did progress and they actually ended up together. So a few years after that, he ended up proposing to Lucy, and they did get married. They had 2 more children, and they've now got twin kids called Willow and Ruben. Lucy is quite considerably younger than Darren, so whether they have any more children, I don't know if they will. I think Lucy might want to since she's a family sim, but that's where they are now. He's still working. He's got a new family. Dirk gets on really well with Lucy and the children. And obviously, Posy and Flo are both teenagers now. And then Willow and Ruben are children. Dirk went to college and did really well at college. He went with Lilith, Angela, and Dustin. They ended up Lilith and Angela didn't end up making up. They were never friends. So they ended up moving out into their own place in the second, and they said trimester. I can't remember what it's called in America, but the second year, basically, they moved out and got their own place because it just wasn't a particularly healthy environment. And then they ended up doing a lot better. When they finished university, they moved into an apartment together in Pleasantview because they were still a couple. They got engaged. Dirk got a job in politics and Lilith got a job in oceanography, which is what she wanted. They were planning to work up in their careers, eventually get married, but they had no plans to settle down, no plans to have a family or anything like that anytime soon. But life had other plans, and Lilith found herself to be pregnant, which obviously wasn't planned. She then went on to have twins as well, called Pepper and Jasmine. So the reason they chose these names, Pepper is a type of herb, and Jasmine is a type of coral. So they were kind of an ode to her grandparents, who you'll find out a bit more about why they were so important to Lilith in the next episode when we go into the Pleasance properly, but I'm not going to spoil it. They then moved into a bigger apartment for the girls because they obviously needed the space because they'd had the twins. They didn't have any money to renovate, but they did meet new friends, made friends with a lot of different people, especially their neighbour Tobias. So their neighbour Tobias lived opposite. They got on really well. He got on really well with the girls. They quite often would have like game nights together, stuff like that. And then one day they were sat playing some games together, and he went home to go and get another board game. Dirk went with him to go and find it. And he was sort of looking at Tobias and realised that he was actually in love with him. Tobias is gay and Dirk didn't know that he was. And it sort of struck him that he was actually falling for this person. And he struggled with it because he was like, I've just had twin babies. I'm with Lilith. I've been with Lilith since I was a teenager. But then the more he sort of thought about it, the more he realised that it made sense for him. Anyway, he didn't tell Tobias straight away. He, after the game night, sat down with Lilith and explained to her how he was feeling and the fact that he had got feelings for Tobias. And he felt terrible because he still loved Lilith, but he realised that he felt a very different way for Tobias than he did Lilith. She was completely understanding, really kind about it. They're still best friends. But obviously they broke up, and he stayed living with her for a little while, just while he could like sort of figure out a plan and help with the kids while they were babies. But then eventually he did tell Tobias how he felt with the support of Lilith, because she wanted to support him through it. She thought they would be a great couple. And once she got over the initial shock of it, she realized that actually it kind of had always felt a bit more like a friendship to her than any serious, passionate relationship. So she supported him and Tobias 100%. They all stayed really good friends, the three of them. And they all still have like game nights together. They're all really close. They co-parent really well. And then Dirk did, like I say, tell Tobias. Tobias felt the same way, but had no idea that Dirk did. And he thought that they'd just sort of split up for whatever other reason. He didn't realize that that was the reason why. So they fell in love, and then obviously they broke up. So he then moved in with Tobias. They have and Tobias's dog called Lola, and they have a little house in the suburbs now, which is very cute. They got married and they adopted 2 children, so a child and a toddler, which are actually siblings, called Cheryl and Mickey. Dirk is still politics level 9, and he's planning on continuing to work up. He wants to get to the top of the career. And Tobias is a stay-at-home dad. They want to have more children in the future, but at the moment, they're happy with the 2 that they've got. But they also co-parent really well with Lilith, who is still in Pleasantview with the twins. And Dirk and Tobias quite often see the twins, who are now toddlers. They're nearly children. And obviously the toddler that they've got, Mickey, is a really similar age to those. But the child, Cheryl, is older. But they all get on really well, and they've all got a really healthy, good relationship. So it's kind of all worked out really nicely for the Dreamers. They're all happy. It's funny because the children that Darren, yeah, and Lucy had similar ages actually to Tobias and Dirk's kids, since he adopted one, and then he's got the 3 triplets now. So they've all got their hands full, but they're super, super happy, and it all worked out really nicely for them. So I guess we'll have to see what happens going forward in the future, whether they carry on their good co-parenting relationship, whether the twins resent the fact that he left, or what happens with them. But short and sweet this time, besties. And next week will be the Pleasance, which is going to be a bit meatier. And as you know, they're my favorites. I absolutely adore Lilith, but that's what we'll be doing next time. But I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get this one out. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next one. Find me on Twitch and drop me a subscribe and a like. I appreciate you. Bye, friends. And he says bye as well. This is code for goodbye, humans. Goodbye.